Hello and welcome back to another Instagram Live and Artist Stories. I'm Tarva Hope, founder of Loud Art Society. Loud Art Society is a non-profit organization that enhances health through art and creativity. We've been in the city of Calgary since 2015, and throughout this time we have provided several different public art projects, programs, and events. We also have two YouTube channels that are educational. One of them is in Persian, which calls 1001 Nights, Historic Shab, and that's mainly because the Persian community has been very supportive of our activities so far. And the other channel is under the name of Louder Society itself, where all of our contents and these artist stories are being shared there as well. So today we have another very amazing artist, a sculptor, a female sculptor that I'm very excited to learn more about her work, Joanne MacDonald, and I'm hoping that she can join us soon so we can start our conversation. Thanks to everyone who are joining us today. Awesome, she is here. I'm just going to invite her to join us. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, trying to figure this out. Sorry.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing great. You're looking
You
great.
still see
Awesome.
me okay?
Yes, yeah.
Thanks.
Lighting could have been better, but it's a rainy day today, so we can't do
You
much.
hold on one second. I'll see if I can open this a bit more.
Okay.
Is that too bright?
No, that's great.
That's better?
Yes, much better.
Okay.
So, all right, Joanne, I'm just gonna jump right in and start with my questions. I already did a quick introduction of you, so I'm really excited to learn more about you and your artworks. Please
Thank
go
you.
ahead, introduce yourself, tell us where are you from, where were you born, and what kind of art is that you're making?
Okay. My name is Joanne MacDonald, and I was born in Port Cartier, Quebec, a little town, un petit ville de Côte, sur la Côte Nord, which is in the north shore of Quebec, quite close up to Labrador, so pretty far from here. And yeah, and I moved to Calgary 40 years ago in high school, and I've been here ever since. Got married here, graduated, went to university here, and started my art career here.
Nice,
So
beautiful.
that,
And what
that's
kind
kind
of
of a little bit. Pardon?
what kind of art do you make?
So I am, well, I would say I'm a sculptor primarily. I do a lot of metal work and sculpture in clay, plaster, concrete, and primarily metal and wood. Um, and I also do a lot of land art and installation art. Um, just to be left. I mean, it's kind of my first love as a kid. That's what you grow up playing with. And then, so I grew up on the ocean and playing with rocks and sticks and different things. And that was my, the wilderness inspired me and how you just naturally sculpt through play as a child. And that just continued with me. And so I do a lot of just ephemeral land art and temporary art. Um, and it's kind of a play and taking me back to my roots. But again, it's a sculptural form that's left, just temporarily or for anybody to come by, but which has informed my work as a professional artist now.
Nice. I didn't know about that part. Yeah, now I'm really interested to see some of those works. Have you ever documented any of your land art?
Yeah, yeah, most of it is on my Instagram page too as well, and some is not documented, but some is just left at the time, and you just did something in hopes that someone would come across it, and it just brings a spark to their day, or they wonder what happened here, or what are these things, little happy things that people can come across on a hike or by the river or in a park or anything, and just left there for a moment in time for you to express yourself for that moment, and that you were inspired in that moment. And it could only last a moment. The wind could come, take it away, someone could knock it around or change it. And it's just, I like the, that it's impermanent, that it's temporary, and that it just shows a spark of that moment, how you were feeling at that time.
Right.
You know, if it wasn't planned. Sometimes these things are planned for like if I was asked to do it for a commission or an exhibition in a park or something, then they're more planned based on the space and what, and you know, what kind of environment you're asked to work with. But for the most part, when I do it, it's just for me, and it's that moment taking me back to my childhood.
Nice, nice. So do you leave your name too beside these temporary artwork? No.
No, never. No, I don't know. I hardly even sign my own work now. You know, like it's just, you know.
Yeah, I know. I always forget that too. I have to remind myself.
Yeah, and it's, you know, hopefully people just know it's like for my permanent sculpture or my metal sculpture, hopefully they know that it's mine or a Joanne MacDonald, or it has some sort of a little bit of a signature look to it. But for my ephemeral art, no. I just sometimes document it. Sometimes it's just for me and don't even post it, or sometimes it's, you know, I do document it further. Yeah.
Okay, nice, nice. So, Joanne, tell me about why and how did you start making art?
I think I touched on that a little bit when I said that, you know, as a child, it was just something innate in me. I always had to play with clay and you know, pencil crayons, but growing up on the ocean, there was sand and there was rocks and there was shells and there was seaweed and wood, and you know, I was always building things and putting things together, and you know, um, bringing things for a garden that I started, you know, and adding things to the garden to make it look pretty, you know, as a kid. And it was just something that I think most likely was the environment that I grew up in, like the physical environment, not the home necessarily, but like being raised in a very remote small town, hardly any people, and having lots of time in nature, you know, rural, remote nature.
Nice, nice. So I guess you were mainly inspired by the nature and just exploring the nature.
Yes, I think that's it's a huge inspiration for me, you know, just natural materials and found materials and repurposed materials, you know, taking something that had a life before and a history and changing it and making it different. Even, you know, picking up a rock and using it in a piece of my work, or, you know, and the history of that rock and where it came from and how many times it's been rolled through the sea, or, you know, you just wonder, you know, to get that look or that tumble. Or so just having the total history of those items and what they were before and what they could be, and you know, there's that history translates and somehow changes once I change the purpose of it. So yeah, from natural materials or even to my repurposed steel, because I you know, I dumpster dive looking for scrap, and I go to the junkyard, and people are dropping things off at my door all the time, and I'm always driving alleys and picking up things. And you know, and you just look at it and you're like, okay, you had a history, and what will you turn into now? You know, like, and I have a pile of scrap repurposed stuff that, you know.
So with metal work, did you mainly started to work with metal during your school years, or like what made you interested to work with metal?
So, um, well, I was always an artist, like I said. I was always doing that. I was quite creative in high school, and I wanted to pursue art in and have a degree. So I'm basically a self-taught artist for the most part, um, because I didn't end up by going to art school. I went and I had an academic scholarship, so I went that route and used that scholarship, and then got married and had my family, and and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, I have to be an artist. Um, so then as I don't know, quite later, as when my daughter was, grown up and I could start taking classes, I started taking continuing ed classes at ACAD, and then Katie Ohi, I took a lot of her classes because I wanted to do sculpture, and what happened was I thought maybe that I would, um, enroll as a mature student, and then I didn't. I ended up by going over to state to learn how to weld because I just wanted to get bigger, bigger, and bigger. And so clay, plaster, concrete, and then I was like, oh, steel. So I went over there and learned how to weld with some classes there. And then I didn't go to school to get my degree. I did talk to some of my instructors, including Katie, who's a lovely friend and sort of mentor of mine. And I said, do I need to enroll? Do I need to do that? And she said, no, I think you know what you want to say. You just, go do it. So had my first professional show at 40. So a late bloomer. So.
Beautiful. Wow, that's really inspiring actually for me. So, Joanne, the focus of our organization is mainly on the health benefits that practicing art or creative activities bring for us. My next question to you is that do you believe that your art practice had any effects on your health at all?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I struggle with some depression and anxiety, and my art is an outlet for that. And my husband always says that my art is cheaper than therapy. So, so it is. Like I need to, and being a metal artist, there's nothing more cathartic and, you know, um, just I guess it's just a real release to pound and cut and grind and, spark fire and do dangerous art because it really gets you. Um, to me, it's a calming thing, and it's something I can control, and it's something that um, grounds me. Mm-hmm. So I think if you're innately an artist, like a lot of us are, you often have some kind of mental angst or something. You have something within you. And if you're not honoring that, then you get all, other things, and it makes you unhealthy. That's so true. Basically honoring, knowing who I am, that I need to be an artist, that I need to do this to be healthy, then that's basically, a prescription to do the art so that you're mentally and physically and whole as a person, because to me, they're so entwined. Most artists, they go, why do you do it? Well, because you kind of have to do it, whether you've got to that point where you realize that it's for your own sanity or for your own health, or because you just have to have a creative outlet. I mean, I think most humans are innately creative and just need some sort of creative outlet. So I think for your mind, body, and soul, art and the arts in total are a total necessity in the world today, especially with all that's going on.
Exactly.
With all the stress and everything that's going on, it's just awful. So.
Yeah. Wow. You said it beautifully. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
I look at some notes, see if there's anything I forgot. I don't know.
You said it beautifully. It was great. All right. So I'm going to jump into my next question. What is the theme of your artworks, or does your artwork has a theme at all?
I think generally, yeah, it does have a theme. I keep kind of revisiting the same theme over and over again, and which is the fragility of life and relationships and love and all these things. Because I think uh, how those life, love, relationships, everything can be so easily dislodged through anger, selfishness, um, racism, war, whatever, all these things can dislodge um, your what you feel is the stability of your life, right? So all these different things. So I think it's the fragility of life. A lot of my work has um, things that are friction fit, not necessarily welded in, things that are able to be dislodged and moved and kinetic, because to represent that whole fragility of life and that things aren't stable. Things do move, things do shift, but that we do have something that can sort of uh, secure you in and ground you at different parts of our lives, but that there is so many things that can easily buffet what we're going through in our lives. And so how do you keep that grounding? How do you keep that health, like through like what do you have to do as a person to remain healthy, whether that's mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. And so a lot of that comes from external things, and a lot of that is mainly for me is within, right? How do we challenge ourselves as a human to keep growing and to keep learning things and educating ourselves, the older we get, So especially the older I get, I feel like, okay, I still have so much to learn, right? And how can I learn that and evolve as a person so that I can contribute back, and hopefully that is somewhat represented in my art. And yeah, it's more relational kind of things. How do we deal with those types of external relationships?
Nice. That's beautiful.
I don't
Have you
know.
have you ever put together glass with your metal works?
I have, yes, I have some glass with metal, not many. Usually suspended pieces, something that was suspended. And I have worked with a glass artist and done the metal for her art, like her stands and different things. And we've talked about collaborating, and I think we'd probably like to do that eventually. Everybody's busy and
Yes.
COVID and stuff, but I think we have a similar aesthetic and work style, so that I think blending them would be really good. Yeah.
Nice. Yes. Oh, it's just that you were talking about fragility. All that comes into my heart is just the glass being very fragile, beside the
Yeah.
metal work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And it is. It is. And it's very hard to work together with them because they both have to be heated and cooled,
Yeah.
and for them to meld at the same time, and not, conflict with each other. Usually the glass would break, right? Or it doesn't get, so it's very hard to, if you were actually encompassing them together,
Right.
that would be hard. But, separate, like orbs and things that I've worked with glass is fine to encapsulate in metal that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful. All right. So, my next question, I guess you already answered, was if you'd like to collaborate with other artists. Have you collaborated with other artists, or would you consider collaborating with artists in different disciplines other than visual arts?
Oh, absolutely. I've collaborated with, well, as you know, Lane Shorty. I've collaborated with him, and we did a public piece together. And with Aliyah Shahab and Antics Art, we worked with them and all their youth, and a bunch of artists. Ivan Oskapenko and Lane again was on that one. So we're, I've collaborated with those. I've also collaborated kind of with Daniel Kirk because I was part of the creative realm and how that was going to work. He was more of a curator in that part. But I'd love to do collaborations with artists. I also collaborated with Melissa Tuplin, who's a contemporary dancer, and I had a show at a gallery, and then she danced using my kinetic work, and we put them on rollers, and she danced, interacting in and through my sculpture. So that was a beautiful, beautiful evening.
Cool. Do you have any recordings of that I could watch later?
I'm not sure. We do have some. I'm not sure. It was kind of a last minute collaboration. We were really excited about it, and then we didn't really. It was, just that
spontaneous. Just put it.
Yeah, it was like a 15-minute thing, and then we were planning on it, but we, didn't prepare for taping it properly. But yeah, we do have some photos and some stills of that, and that was a really exciting collaboration. But I'd love to collaborate with any artist, and I'm always looking at that for either public art or public art calls or different things, or even in just doing things like together. So I'm really interested in how when you work with another artist, you always learn something from them, which is part of my whole reason for wanting to do that. You really learn from each other, and you glean a lot of wisdom and a lot of techniques. But it's more about the relationship that I'm learning, that I'm wanting to kind of learn from, and how that person thinks and how that person creates and what makes them tick is what interests me about collaboration.
Yeah.
Not that we have to all be focused on the same way of doing things or how to do it right or whatever. That's always difficult, but it's what makes you think the way you do, and how and why are you doing it that way, and how can we work together and learn from each other.
Awesome. Wow, that was great. I think I'm gonna reach out to you later on for those photos. I do
yeah, I'll look for them.
Great. Okay, well, my next question to you is that what is your perspective on art and creativity in general?
That's hard, isn't it? I think I've kind of touched on that a little bit, but I think art and creativity in general is absolutely a vital piece of our whole world and what we need to have in our world. So it's essential. Art and creativity is essential for human growth and human for all of us to just relate to each other on a different level. And I mean, it's an innate expression of ourselves, right? So I think it's absolutely necessary. And I think I know a lot of people learn through creativity, and I know that I learn by doing as opposed to reading something. So I think it's just something that needs to be concentrated more on in schools, through learning and play, through learning. I mean, you learn so much through, active play and active stuff as opposed to book learning. So I think the creativity is just a natural, God-given kind of thing on this universe that we need to nurture and we need to take care of, because I see so many people not embracing that and trying to go the more linear way or the more logical way. And I think that is basically I don't know, I think it's harmful, because I mean, in the end, that's how we're all supposed to be, is totally art filled and creative filled. And I really, in this day and age, with all the cuts and COVID and everything being canceled and cut, it's really hard to see that, because I really do miss the arts. I miss the interactivity. I miss, seeing all of that. So I think, yeah, I don't know. It's just so darn important. I'm not really sure if I made sense.
You said it beautifully. Thank you very much. I just made some notes there. So, Joanne, What are you working on right now? I know that you said with the COVID, are you just staying at home then, or you're still working on your personal projects?
Oh, well, I was part of Planetary, which was a show at Contemporary Calgary that opened up late January. The end of January was only open like a month before it had to close for COVID, which was super disappointing, but understandable. And I was part of an artist residency there, which was before that, and then we produced work based on that artist residency with 30 other Calgary-based artists. So that was really a great show. Unfortunately, it's not going to reopen, and they're getting ready for their next show because COVID went too long, et cetera, et cetera. So that was really good. And then right now, I haven't been working too much. I had an injury at the beginning of the summer and tore my meniscus, so I've been recouping. But I do have a private commission that I need to do as soon as I'm well enough to do something heavy, like a probably 6, 7 foot private commission. And then I'm working on a piece for a show that hopefully opens in October at the Roberto Osberg Gallery with the ghost stories, which is a big group of people coming in. So where you write a story and you do an art piece to go with it. So I collaborated with Christopher Tuplin, who is a beautiful writer, and he wrote a story, a prose folk tale, ghost story kind of thing. And then I'm doing the piece to go alongside it. And then it goes into a book and is recorded, and it's really lovely to have the story and the artwork together.
Yeah. It's very exciting. That's great. I know minus the COVID parts, but the rest of it.
I know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what are your recommendations for those people who want to start making art or sculptures?
Oh, to just do it. Like, I find whatever medium or whatever that kind of gives you passion, and to just try and do that. Whether, like, for me, it's anything, making heavy things look light. Like in my sculpture, I work with a very heavy masculine material, right? But yet I'm a 5 foot tall, 56-year-old woman, and I'm, trying to make really massive, heavy things look light and look feminine and look and are kinetic and might move or have that, the duality between the heavy and light and the different materials. So I think exploring as many materials as you can to find out what really gives you your passion, what you're really connected to. I think that's really important, and to just reach out to the artist community, because there's a lot of people that I know Calgary sometimes gets a bad rap about being very insular and people being very to themselves and not supporting other artists. But I think there's a lot of artists that do support other artists. And just, if you are on Instagram, you see an artist in the city and you really appreciate their work, talk to them. And you want to know more, I'm sure, reach out to people, especially if that's something that you want to pursue. And you know what? Give it a try. I think just this whole thing about trying to do everything on your own is just it's exhausting. So, I think just, people will support people if you just ask. So I think if you're wanting to pursue this, I think just reach out to somebody that is doing what you want to do and check it out.
Great.
Yeah, and keep learning all the time.
Okay. Make a note of that one too. Awesome. That was a great recommendation. So
I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna move on to my next question. I guess you kind of did touch on this, but I want to know more about, like, artistically, who were you most inspired by for yourself? in your art,
Oh,
and who encouraged you the most in your art making as well?
oh, gosh. Well, my family always encourages me, which is great. And as you know, part of the reason I'm inspired by Katie is I love kinetic work and trying to, do something that integrates sculpture and play and touch, and like how do you do that? And so she's always inspired me. She inspired me because she was kind of the first teacher that I had when I went just to continuing ed classes, and really encouraged my work when I started to weld. So that was really good. Someone else who's inspiring is Barbara Hepworth. Um, and what I love about her work is um, all the negative space and
Mhm.
all that. And again, heavy work trying to make that look light. And that's something that's a real theme in my work. And Beverly Pepper as well, of course, who just passed away. And then I love um, Louise Bourgeois because I love her use of all different um, medium, and then how she plays with scale, but then how it's always really, really an emotional journey of
Mhm.
what this piece is and what it represents, and that it's more of an internal emotional journey with herself rather than something outside herself. That was inspiring. So I really take courage from that, thinking that you yourself and your experiences and your life experience can you know inspire you to make this work that comes from within, as opposed to just making something that, I'm not demeaning this at all, but like representational, that's like a fish or a mountain or whatever, like, but something, those those inspire other people, but something that really gets inspires you from your personal experiences and what
Mhm.
you've gone through, and how can you express that in your art.
Yeah.
So to me, I try to firstly look inward, and
Okay.
then that, like, again, it's anything that I'm going through, and then also the nature and um, all the nature and different, and the elements, because I work intuitively also. Whatever kind of materials I have on hand or I come across, then those often inspire me, right? So
Mhm.
it's like, oh, I might have this plan, but then I see all these materials or whatever, and then they're inspiring in themselves. So it's kind of listening to yourself, work with what you have, and that's often inspiring in itself, just looking within. So,
Now that you mentioned this, something else came into my mind. Uh, do you think that your artworks, is it always a combination of all of these together, like your intuition and being inspired by the material or the medium, and working out, your inner uh, feelings and emotions, and then, like, do you think all the works come together after you analyze all of this, or sometimes it's mostly just your inner work, another time it's mostly just nature? Like, how do you evaluate that?
oh, yeah. Um, when I'm creating like a body of work for show,
Mhm.
I generally have the theme or the um, name of the show and the kind of the show statement already mulled over. So
Okay.
that's in the back of my head when I'm developing a body of work for a show.
Mhm.
So generally, yeah, that theme is what comes first, that inner thing, that something that you want to express.
Okay.
So say you want to express, you know, whatever theme that you're working on for a show a year now. So I would then, I guess it's a combination, because then I would look at the material with that theme in
Mhm.
mind. So that kind of envelops that, or maybe veils my decision of what I'm going to choose and not choose based on the theme. But if
Okay.
I'm if I'm playing and I'm not doing something specific for a specific theme, and then I end up by playing, then I think it's the material that informs the work. But it's very often both. And because I use found materials, and don't fabricate very often unless there's absolutely I cannot find the right thing, then I sometimes whatever you make ends up by fitting it because you can put a slant on it the way you want to do it, based on those materials. So I guess to me it's pretty much even when you ask which one inspires. It's pretty much even, and depending on the I guess it's depending on, again, the material or the purpose I'm making the object for, or the piece for.
Nice. I have 2 more questions left, but before I ask those questions, would you like to tell us a little bit more about the sculpture that you have right behind you?
Oh, do you need me to move this? Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
That is an older sculpture. It's from 2008, and it's a suspended elements series. I made 26 pieces for a show at Roberto Osberg Gallery, and each of the pieces were different elements that were suspended in some way. And these ones are friction, kind of fit in between these 2 metal pieces that are taut. And a lot of my work also has these reflective orbs. And that's in an effort to allow the viewer to put themselves within the work because it reflects themselves and also the surroundings. And it's a way for me to draw the viewer into the piece and to kind of be a part of it and figure out, maybe take a little bit more time to figure out what its intention is and what it's doing. So this was part of this whole suspended elements series, which had this type of work, including some hanging and suspended work.
Beautiful. I really like hanging stuff.
I do too.
I think they're
you've
interesting.
seen some of my work. I do like hanging things. For my show at Contemporary Calgary, I had a suspended piece that was suspended almost 2 stories up from a big beam, and it was suspended by a construction beam, and then it was about an 8.5 foot suspended piece on chain, like the actual sculpture was that, and then the chain going up 2 stories. So
cool.
yeah,
I was going to ask you about that. I'm like, what did you use to suspend that? Though you said it's chain. So
yeah, it was a heavy chain. Yeah, and then they had to. My husband, who helps me with most of my work, or install most of my work, he's the one who engineered how to stick it up there. So.
Oh, I wish I would have seen that work. But you said that they kind of ended that show because of the COVID?
Yeah, it was closed. Yeah, it was closed in March for COVID, and then the gallery hasn't reopened yet. So then they had to take it down because they have a new show coming up, I think, in this month. So
I'm gonna go check their website. Maybe there are some images of it I can take.
Yeah, and I know I have some images of it on Instagram.
Yeah,
on my Instagram. Yeah.
I have to check your Instagram thoroughly, I guess.
That's okay.
Awesome. All right. So my next question to you is that if you could change anything about yourself, what would that be?
Oh, like, it's like physically, internally, mental, like what?
Anyway.
That's just me. Hopefully, if I could, there's several things. I mean, okay, on the superficial, I'd like to be taller. because I'm only 5 feet tall. But more importantly, just to keep being just more accepting and loving person, and just having more compassion and and love. I don't think anybody can ever have enough of that. So that's something that is a daily thing that I would work on, just in this life. So
nice. Beautifully said. All right. Well, my next question is a little bit more strange. If you could have a superpower, what would that be?
I'm not really into like superheroes and comics and like I don't even know all of those people. A superpower. I guess everybody says like to fly, but I don't know. I think I'd probably like to be invisible because I'm more of a I'm an introvert by nature. I can talk to you because it just looks like I'm talking to you and not whoever's watching. But I think being invisible. I think then because I love my alone time and I love being alone, and so I would feel like you could get even more alone time, because no one would even know you were there, and so you could do whatever, be wherever, and nobody would know, so they wouldn't bother you.
No.
I don't know. You could be in your quiet space.
I think that would be a great superpower to have, especially for times that you need to disappear quickly and you don't want to deal with stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Bye.
Bye. All right, cool. So I guess that was all for my questions. My last question is that where our viewers can reach out to you or view your works. You said you have an Instagram. Do you also have a website?
My website is I'm kind of redoing it, so it's not really, and it's not up right now. So I need to get it up to date, and I'm not very good technically, so I'm going to need some help with that. And but my Instagram or Facebook, that's it, is just Soul Tonic Studio, SOUL Tonic Studio. And and I do have some work here that you asked me to bring out if you wanted to
Sure,
try to video it. Do you have time?
Yeah, we still have about 15 more minutes. So yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, if you want to see anything, I'll kind of
yeah, why not?
Take this and figure this out. Do I have to turn it around?
You can if you're going to take the camera, take your phone. There are 2 arrows. If you if you click on that, it will open the other camera that will show everything on the other side and not the selfie camera.
Okay, let's try that.
Okay.
I'm doing the wrong thing.
So the 2 arrows. Okay, no, I guess you just did it right. The 2 arrows are yeah, here we go. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Nice.
So let me see. I'm just going to do this. So this was the piece that we were talking about.
Okay.
And then there's one here. I don't know if you can see it.
Can you just turn the camera? Yeah, that one. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I see it.
And that's again part of a Suspended Elements series.
Yes.
I don't know. There's one in this corner.
Beautiful.
That was from a recent show, more about balance and different things.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go over here. Here's some of my figurative work, older. There's like my second piece I ever made. And here's some of my art with mixing the steel and the wood and the found materials, driftwood and such. This is recent work, these 2 pieces. And they're working again, one thing that I didn't talk to you about was that I view most of my work as maquettes in hopes of doing larger pieces. So here's another piece here, lots of negative space.
Beautiful.
And again, using different materials, stone and suspended, but small. So, and balance and spheres. Here's one of my hanging pieces not hung up.
That's really cool.
And then here's the piece that has glass in it that you were talking about. So here's one of them. And again, this would be kinetic. And this is not, it's just friction fit. So I could pull it out. So it's one of the suspended elements, like in the fragility of life, how things could be so easily dislodged.
It's beautiful. It's very interesting.
Here's my 8.5 foot piece it's on the floor. It's all packed up, and another piece from contemporary Calgary. So there's a few pieces.
Beautiful.
I don't know if you have any questions about those.
I have a feeling that, since you're using the sphere form, repeatedly, what does sphere represent to you? Do you have any specific meaning in your head and heart about it?
About the sphere?
Yes.
I think it's, oh gosh, I'm not very good at this here. I need to turn this around again, right?
Just, do the same arrows if you just, here we go. Here you are.
Okay. That's going to fall. Sorry, everybody, if you're getting seasick. I think I'm going to have to hold this.
Yeah, just hold it. You have just a few more minutes and that's it.
Okay. So the sphere to me, I think is, again, I talked about it representing kind of myself or the person, and the person being able to view themselves within the work and kind of draw a person in. I think it's also representative of like the heart or the center of a person, the love of a person, just that being, kind of a grounding. It's spherical, it's earth shape, a grounding element in my pieces. I think it's my favorite shape.
That's what I think. It's your favorite, but there should be, I don't know, but sometimes you can't really put it into words either, because maybe it's subconscious.
I think it is subconscious, but I think subconsciously it's a grounding element. And whether that's from my own what I need to see or how I need to express myself is like, okay, there could be all this stuff going on, but what is this grounding element or this one repetitive thing that can kind of keep me grounded, and also be an expression of like who I am, or maybe it also involves the viewer and something relatable for the viewer to kind of, like I said, allow them to put themselves within the work somehow. So I think aesthetically, it's something that is always a drawing element to me, and how it's a soft element amongst, the heavy steel or whatever like that. So it's also kind of the contrasting elements to me. Steel can be so hard and everything, but if you see steel in a circular element, then it softens it. It's not necessarily a construction material. It's not necessarily a building material. It's not necessarily something for engineering purposes. It really softens it. So how do you take that material and make it approachable when it's really kind of more of a hard material? So how do you make that kind of more inviting to the viewer?
I also find it it's very feminine too, in between
absolutely
all the other things that are rigid. Maybe this is the only one that is, whole and, as you said, welcoming. So
Yeah, I think so. I think it is a hugely feminine
mhm.
element to my work. And I mean, I am a woman working with metal, which is primarily more men are doing it. There's lots of women that do it, but but I think it is definitely a feminine element. So,
Wow. Thank you so much, Joanne, for showing us your beautiful artworks and giving me your time this morning to talk. And thank you so much again for accepting my invitation. I guess that's it for today. If you have anything else to add, please go ahead.
okay.
Yeah.
No, just I'll send you some pictures, but if anybody wants to see my work, you can go look on my Instagram, Soul Tonic Studio. And yeah, thank you so much, Tara, for having me. I really appreciate this and made me think and work, get all these answers and hopefully whoever joined and watched it will enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm out of practice or talking about my art, not much has been going on for the last 8 months. So it's been hard on the art community for sure.
That's true.
So I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, I think it's great that we just remain connected, even though it's hard on everyone. But you're right, very much more on artist community. But I guess we are the ones who are the most inspiring and most hopeful all the time. We're most positive, so we should keep this going on.
Yeah, well, it's really great. So I look forward to seeing all your other artists that you interviewed, and thanks so much again.
Me too. Awesome. Well,
all right. Take care and stay safe,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks everyone who joined us.
Okay.
Our next live will be happening next Monday. So we'll see you then. Bye.